I want to take a look at this video. A tall claim. Mogswamp doesn't understand the end, and neither does Mojang, by Mongster. I checked it out already, I watched it already, but I thought it'd be fun to react with you guys. I recently made a video all about the end dimension, what might be coming in the end update, and this guy had something to say about it. So let's check it out. By the way, I have talked to this guy. He's super nice. We cleared the air. I always want to like reach out to people, make sure we're cool, you know what I mean? So I did reach out to him and make sure we're chill. He's chill. We're friends. We're friendly. People can disagree about the direction of the game and still be friendly with each other.
I liked Mogswamp, Super Flat World, whatever. It's not that I think his video is particularly egregious. It's really more that it just got me thinking about design philosophy. He has some good ideas, but I really just want to talk. I want to have a discussion. That's all.
So one thing you'll notice is that Mongster plays in Minecraft Alpha. This is literally so far back that there isn't even a nether dimension yet. That's how far back he plays. So I think his perspective is going to be different than, you know, the average player because he's really into the older Minecraft stuff.
They can only make things more powerful or add even more powerful alternatives. There is a massive power scaling problem. And this is something Mogswamp very clearly agrees with.
I mean, I don't think it's necessarily true that they won't ever nerf things. I can't think of a good example in the past of when they've nerfed something, but I could see that. Like, I guess netherite upgrade. Netherite upgrade is a nerf. Used to be able to just apply netherite to your armor, and then they nerfed it, and now you need to go get an upgrade, and then you can apply it to your armor. I mean, that's not really to do with power. It's more a nerf on like how easy it is to get. There's also they've been trying to nerf villagers. They've been trying to, so I don't necessarily think it's a given that Mojang will never nerf anything, but I do agree that the game probably has some power scaling issues.
I would also say that he has a vested interest in defending Mojang's development philosophy, because not only did he get to see behind the scenes of the Minecraft movie, but he's, I guess, like buddy-buddy with a lot of Mojang executives now, so he gets the...
This made me laugh, because like, buddy-buddy, I mean, I've met them. I went to dinner with Vu, which was pretty sick, but I definitely wouldn't say we're buddy-buddy necessarily. I thought that was kind of funny. Kind of a little bit silly. But yeah, I have had some crazy opportunities, I will say. And definitely because I've had these opportunities, I never want to say anything overly negative about Mojang because here's the thing. It's kind of like getting into a little bit of a chicken versus egg scenario. Do you see what I'm saying? Because these are already just my opinions for the most part. Did I get the opportunities with Mojang because I don't have that many negative opinions on the game? Or do I not have negative opinions on the game because I got these opportunities with Mojang? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I feel like I personally, these are just my opinions, and I don't feel like I'm that concerned about upsetting Mojang. I mean, I'm not gonna say like they're doing a crap job, but I also just I don't believe that. I think they're doing a pretty good job. So I don't know. Maybe there's like a grain of truth in what he's saying that like, yeah, maybe I'm like a little more careful about what I say and I try to be tactful, but I'm definitely not like altering my opinion just because I've met these people. Oops, wrong screen. Miko, what are you doing? Oh, get that off the screen, Miko. Oh, there are kids watching, Miko. Miko! Oh, just kidding, buddy. I'm just kidding. He took that so personally. Back to the video.
His ideas behind how to fix the end revolve around a few things. The end should be desolate and alien feeling. The end should be more accessible. And the end is boring.
Yeah, that pretty much nailed it. Like, the end should be a lot less boring, but it still needs to have that end creepy, liminal, hostile, desolate, barren feeling. I think everybody kind of agrees on that. And then should be accessible. I didn't really necessarily say it should be accessible. I just pointed out that a lot of people have a problem with the game's accessibility. I kind of left it at the end of the video open-ended. I basically said the way to get to the end is very iconic, and it kind of like the creeper. Even if it's got some issues, I don't know. Are they really going to change the way that we get to the end? It's so iconic. The stronghold with the ender eyes. But at the same time, there's clearly an issue with accessibility because a lot of people complain about it.
Do I think Mojang has the ability or creativity to accomplish this? No. Do I think that...
see, so this guy's a Mojang hater. He does not like where they're taking the game, and he does not have any faith in them. I'm just not on the same page with that. I genuinely, like, having met a lot of them, probably has changed my opinion a little bit because they're really genuinely invested in this game's success, and they play the game, and they care a lot about the game. Like, they really, really try. And they also nailed the Nether update. Like, I feel like everybody agrees they nailed the Nether update. So saying that they just plain won't be able to do a good end update, I feel like is, like, insane. Because they nailed the Nether update. They totally nailed it. I mean, they could screw it up. Don't get me wrong. They could screw it up.
I thought was funny that he said is that he did a channel poll asking if people had ever been to the end in survival at least once. 24% of respondents said no. He uses this to say that the end is inaccessible, which he uses to come to his other conclusions. I think this is a pretty skewed result, considering that his fans very likely consist of young children. And I also honestly think that the type of people my age who watch this kind of content don't play the game very much. But that's an observation I won't be bothering.
We have very similar, I asked him if we could compare audience demographics. We have pretty similar channel analytics. Just writing off some, like, whatever YouTuber you don't like because you think their audience is all kids it's childish, I think. It's a bad take. It's a bad take. I think Mongster would even agree now that he's met me that this is a bad take. I also did a poll on the channel. Most people answered 16 to 24, so we know that most people answering my polls are in that age group. That's not kids. You're not a kid if you're, like, sure, 16, 17, 18, you're still kind of a teenager, but, like, they're not, like, 8-year-olds. My channel's not full of 8-year-olds.
If you're a new player and you genuinely don't know what to do when you approach an end portal, you can very easily look it up.
So this one I'm kind of torn on, right? Because I think, honestly, we can all agree it's bad game design if you literally need to go look something up to figure out how to play a game. That's literally just bad game design. Like, games shouldn't require you to have Google and go look at a wiki to understand how to do basic things. That's just kind of bad game design. That being said, the fact that you have to look up things to understand how to play Minecraft is why it's the most sold game of all time. If Minecraft had had a good tutorial from the start, no one would have had to go on YouTube to see other people playing and learn how to play it, which means it wouldn't have taken over YouTube, wouldn't be the biggest game on YouTube of all time, which means it wouldn't be the biggest game of all time. That being said, now that it's already the biggest game of all time, I don't think it really needs that boost anymore, and I think we can all agree generally that if you have to look something up to play a game successfully, that's like not good game design. That's not a well-designed game. And I think Mojang agrees, and they've been trying to fix that through the advancements, things like the paintings, which have like little subtle lore hints. I love that they're doing that. I don't think the game needs like a straightforward tutorial, but if there was like a painting of a stronghold like end portal or something, or like, you know, there needs to be a little bit more. Right now, all you get is there's one advancement with like I Spy, and it says like follow an ender eye to a stronghold. And that's really vague. Like if the player just had like maybe one more little hint.
He also says players are not choosing to go to the end because they think it doesn't have enough content. I also have a
That's a misquote. I said it could be that some players are just choosing not to go to the end because there's really nothing there. And the only reason I even said that is because I got that comment. Like dozens and dozens of times on the poll that I posted, people were commenting, and a lot of people said, why would I go to the end? I don't need shulkers or elytra. I don't need to beat the dragon. I just want to build a castle. That was like a really popular sentiment in the comments, which I don't relate to at all. I can't play the game without shulker and elytra. I rush the end every single time I play a new world. I go to the end as fast as possible to get elytra and shulker boxes because they're so OP. But if you're not interested in shulker and elytra, then yeah, I could see how there would never be any reason to go to the end. And a lot of people said in the polls that that was a reason.
The end has the elytra. It's a very meta and extremely overpowered item. Even if the end is boring, people would still go through it just to get the elytra if they're somewhat competent players. If they're somewhat competent players. So I think this just further proves my guess that most.
So this is like a theme in his video, is like player competency, or like there's a good type of Minecraft player and there's a bad type of Minecraft player. There's the people who really play, and then there's those filthy casuals, the kids, the 8-year-olds who just ruin the game for everybody. And I don't think that's how it is, man. I think the most beautiful thing about Minecraft is that anybody can play it however they want. And just because someone likes to play casually, like, I'm not gonna judge. Like I said, I cannot relate to not ever getting elytra. That's insane to me. It is like, the second I was able to get elytra in super flat, you better bet that I booked it to the end dimension and did it like the first millisecond that I could get an elytra. However, if there are people out there who want to build castles in the overworld and just don't have an interest in being able to fly around, all right, so be it. Ride your horse, ride your minecarts. I get, like, everybody complains the elytra's overpowered. I can see making the choice as a player not to engage with it. So that doesn't make you an incompetent player. like he's literally saying that makes you incompetent. I couldn't disagree more.
I think he has a point that the end should have an ore. End mining could be awesome. I don't trust Mojang to handle the ores well, considering how netherite was handled. In my perfect world, the endite would...
I agree that I'm not like... I don't think netherite's a bad addition. I do just think the game... Like, man, when they did a cave update, I really thought we were going to get like 2 to 3 new ores. Like, that was really what I wanted out of a cave update. I wasn't as concerned about the terrain generate. I mean, it would be nicer to have deeper caves for sure. And I love that they added deeper caves. But really, we just got copper. And then in the nether update, we just got netherite. And copper, honestly, has proven itself to be a great addition to the game. But when it was first added, it was a little lackluster, a little bit underwhelming. At this point, I think copper's in a good spot. Netherite, I think, is cool as well. But I still just, like, I want an ore that does, like, something new. Neither netherite or copper really scratched that itch I had for, like, a couple new ores to go find in caves. I don't know if you guys can relate to that. If you've ever played modded, so a lot of modded has way too many ores. But it is fun to just see a couple more ores when you go mining in caves. That being said, the game has an inventory problem, so everything they add, it compounds, you know what I mean? So it's already hard enough to manage your inventory when you're caving. Adding like 3 new ores would probably make it way, way, way worse. But I don't know. I see where he's saying he's not sure that they could nail a new ore, because I don't think copper or netherite were like perfect. Here's the thing though. So many of the existing ores in the game are kind of like one-dimensional. Like emeralds really have one use. Lapis really just kind of has one use. Gold pretty much has the one use. I guess gold has a couple. But so it's like, do you add more ores or do you try to flesh out the existing ores? I don't know. It's hard. Developing a game is hard.
He has other good ideas. Teleportation-themed redstone is, I think, a creative and fitting idea, despite being wildly overpowered if not done correctly, which it won't.
Yeah, they'd have to really do it correctly. And I did say in the video that I'm not a redstone guy, and I really don't know what they would implement or what would be useful or what wouldn't be OP when it comes to some sort of teleportation related block. But I think they could pull it off. I mean, they did it pretty well with the crafter. They honestly, most of the time when they add new redstone components, they kind of nail it. I know there was the whole debacle with the copper lamp. Like, people really liked the original implementation of the copper lamp, and they don't like whatever change they made to it. But I'm too stupid to understand what change they made to it. I guess it used to be faster or something. I don't really know. But other than that, for the most part, I don't think they've really missed on a new redstone component. They've been really, really consistent when they add new redstone. So again, he says here that he doesn't think they would pull it off, but I actually think they could pull off a new redstone component for teleportation. They have a good track record with redstone specifically.
Not done correctly, which it won't be, for being honest. Imagine Mojang making the elytra in Icebelt roads irrelevant. That would be.
That is the trouble with like any sort of ender porter. You'd like it and elytra's already made all the other forms of transport in the game pretty irrelevant. So if you then did an ender porter on top of that, it would be, it would even more make the other forms of transport irrelevant. So there'd have to be some sort of balance. There'd have to be some sort of con to using it, right? But I just don't know what that would be.
Totems of preservation, creative. I don't think.
Yeah, the thing I will say about this video, Monster is pretty positive about a lot of the ideas I had.
Throughout this video, he also talks about Minecraft dungeons a lot, that the end should borrow from dungeons stylistically. You know, that's a good point. Dungeons is a very nice looking game. Kind of always liked it. The story's poor and there's no good characters, but the gameplay is nice, the music is good, and again, it's stylistically very beautiful. It makes sense that Minecraft will borrow a lot from whatever the creative team came up with for dungeons. Honestly.
Yeah, I think that is like the biggest point in my video that I think is like directly my own opinion, is that they need to just like do a lot of the stuff they did in dungeons. I think one of the things Monster misunderstood a little bit about my video is that I wasn't really talking that much about what I want. It's mostly about what I think Mojang will add based on interviews I've seen, my personal conversations with them, and then their past history with other updates. It wasn't so much me talking about what I want, because honestly, I play the game in such a weird way, and I have some kind of hot takes about the end. If I was in charge of the end dimension update, no one would like it. I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. The whole end being barren thing, I don't really care about it that much. They could add 20 biomes to the end and I'd be like, fine, whatever. Honestly, they could delete the end and add the Aether and I think I'd be happier. Back in the day, when Notch was originally working on the end, it started as like Sky Islands biome. It was like it was like an overworld Sky Islands. And then it was like kind of based on the Aether for a little bit, but then it like kind of took this turn and went in this totally opposite direction of being more like Zen from Half-Life and looking really desolate and barren. And I'm just like not that into it. I love like the liminality of Minecraft and like creepy things, but I don't know, a whole dimension that's just empty and boring. Like I think we would have been better off with the Aether. I think it would have been sick to have like a heaven and hell theme, the Nether and the Aether, and the Aether's full of life and full of color. I don't think we need the end dimension. I'm gonna be so real, but that's my hot take. So if I made the end update, it would look crazy different from what I laid out in this video, and probably no one else would like it because I'm a weirdo. I play this game in a really weird way.
A lot of his ideas of what should be added is pretty much just everything that was added in the Nether update, but given an end reskin, and he basically...
So a lot of people had this complaint about my video, and that... I specifically tried not to do that. All I was trying to do is use the Nether update as a template to understand the way Mojang thinks when they update a dimension. Because the Nether we only have so much data, right? And so here's the thing. Here's the point I was trying to make. First of all, there's only one other dimension update to look at, which is the Nether update. Second of all, it was their most popular update of all time. So if they're gonna do an end update, I think they're gonna look really closely at what worked about the Nether update and then try to replicate that. So I was using the Nether update as a template, but I specifically said I don't think they should just copy paste everything from the Nether update into the end. And also, I don't think they would add everything I said in my video. I think they would add some of the things. Does that make sense? Am I making sense here?
The dragon fight isn't good because, as I said before, certain features have been relentlessly scaled while the dragon fight has remained stagnant and totally ignored. The dragon isn't the only thing that suffers from this issue. Consider just how many things players ask to be revamped these days because they're no longer useful or have been made irrelevant. Minecarts, horse riding,
I think that he's making a good point here. Like, there are so many forgotten systems in the game. You know, it just feels like they keep piling up. You know, like... just things that are half-baked or not fully fleshed out. I think a great example is like enchanting, right? Enchanting has needed something for a long time, and I feel like everybody kind of agrees on that, because right now the whole meta is just to use villagers. Yeah, but then like they'll add like archaeology, and then archaeology's also kind of half-baked. Like it's almost like a full feature, but not really. And like there's not really enough there to make it feel full. The sniffer was kind of similar. And it, like, at some point, there's just so many different systems in the game that feel like a little unfinished or half-baked that the whole game starts to feel a little bit half-baked or unfinished. I think that's what he's talking about here, and I don't disagree with that at all. I think it would be amazing for them to do like a cleanup update where they just go back and revisit a bunch of these old systems. But the problem is, like, that's not very marketable. Like, the problem I think Mojang has is just a problem that every game company or every artist has. Like, literally every artist. Me as a YouTuber, I have to make my videos appealable. I have to make a good thumbnail and title for someone to click on. An author needs to make a good book cover and book, because people do judge books by their cover. Movie trailers need to get people in the seats to see the movie. So in a similar way, Mojang needs to market their updates somehow. They just have to do it. It's like, we live under capitalism. I'm not in charge. I don't make the rules. Yeah, I think they have a little bit of a problem there, because like, how do you market, you know, we went back and fixed the sniffer and enchanting and added stuff to inventories. I think that was kind of the goal of the drop system, was to not be so tied to the marketing for an update. But at the same time, I think, like, you know, we've seen it, like Chase the Skies, Copper Age, they've still been pretty themed. Even though they're a little bit less themed, they still need to market it. So I don't know. I think I would love to see them do an update that really revisits all these old things, but it's just tough. I empathize with the issue they have, which is that you have to market things. We live in a society.
Compare that to something like Vintage Stories development. This is a game I compare Minecraft to constantly.
So this I can't really speak to because I haven't played Vintage Story, but I really want to. I want to play Vintage Story because the way Mongster speaks about it, it sounds like it's so much better than Minecraft about going back and finishing systems and making everything feel interconnected and fully fleshing out features. And obviously I think that's a lot easier with a small team. Vintage Story is probably like, what, a couple people working on it versus Minecraft where there's, you know, what, 300 employees or something. So I think, not to mention, here's the thing about Bedrock Edition. It's the worst and best thing to ever happen to Minecraft. It really is. It's the best because Minecraft became the biggest game in the world because of Bedrock Edition. But it's the worst because now, the reason Mojang adds new content instead of going back and visiting old systems, in my opinion, other than the marketing issue, is because they have the systems in place in both games to add new blocks, add new mobs. Those are existing structures in the code base. If you were to revamp enchanting or revamp one of these core game systems, to get that to work across all devices on Java and Bedrock, identically, on your PlayStation, on your Samsung phone, on your freaking fridge, anywhere you can play Minecraft, which is basically every device in the world, it's really hard, I think, for them to add new systems or revise old systems and have it match and have parity across all versions. So yeah, Bedrock, I think, is part of the reason that it's a little bit harder for them to go back and add and like adjust systems. The incentive is there for them to just work within the existing structures in their code. You know, add new blocks, add new mobs, add new particles, you know, things that already exist in the code base. And one thing I should point out about Mongster, before you guys all say, oh, it's just nostalgia, he is kind of an interesting character because he started playing in modern Minecraft and then went back to old versions of Minecraft. So he's not nostalgia blind. He just genuinely enjoys playing alpha more than playing modern versions of the game. And who am I to judge? I genuinely enjoy playing super flat more than I do normal terrain generation, which is super weird. And honestly, I don't even really play the modern game with normal terrain gen all that often. I almost never do that. Most of the time I play in my super flat world. So I'm, you know, we're both weird characters, Mongster and Mogster. We're both weirdos in our own way.
He talks about bringing back the rascal from one of the previous mob votes. You might be familiar with it. I think it is a dumb idea, and it lost for a reason. It doesn't fit into the...
I think that's super fair to say it lost for a reason, you know? But that being said, I think part of the reason it lost was because the gift given by the rascal was an iron pickaxe. If it was like a new item that you could only get through this mob, kind of like the sniffer, it might be kind of interesting. It might be kind of a fun mechanic. So, I don't know. I do agree that, like, it is a good point. It lost for a reason. However, I do think part of the reason it lost was this right here. Like, who wants an iron pickaxe? Are you kidding me?
Minecraft has a loot problem. It's one of the core issues with its progression systems. The developers seem to think that more ways to loot, better types of loot, making loot more common, is just the only way to drive the game forward.
Actually, I don't know if the developers think that, because lately I feel like every time they add a passive mob, they intentionally make it so that it doesn't have loot. Like, I think they've said, which is something I disagree with. I think every mob should have at least some purpose. Well, maybe not every mob. I think it's okay to do things for ambiance. Ambiance is really important. It's one of the reasons I love the Spring to Life drop. It added so much ambiance to the game. But like, for the most part, I think more things should have loot, if anything. I was sad when they stopped having every mob have like its own loot drop that's like unique to it, because I love farming. I love making crazy mob farms, but I think they don't like that. They don't want you making a polar bear meat grinder to get special polar bear drops, because they keep adding endangered species to the game as well to like raise awareness, and then they extra don't want you to just kill them and like farm them in industrial killing machines. But that's kind of my favorite part of the game, is making like big industrial mob farms and stuff like that. So I actually, like, I don't know. I kind of disagree with him here that like all they do is add loot. I actually think lately they haven't been doing that. But maybe I don't know. Maybe we're both kind of right. I don't know.
We don't need more. We need new survival mechanics and balancing. So although this is a brief point in his video, I totally disagree with that, and anything else this philosophy can be applied.
Porque no los dos. More loot and more balancing.
Just generally as well, because as I said earlier, Mogswamp thinks the game is too hard. A lot of his ideas just...
Wait, did he say Mogswamp? That was funny. I didn't catch that.
As well, because as I said earlier, Mogswamp thinks the game is too hard.
He did say Mogswamp. That's funny.
A lot of his ideas just revolve on making the end easier. Sure, he thinks the dragon fight should be more challenging, but I mean that he thinks the end as a dimension should be an easier place to live. He wants to...
I don't think it should be easier. I think it should be less annoying. I don't think the end dimension is hard right now. I just think it's gratuitously annoying. Insanely annoying. So like, I think the intention behind the end was like, oh, you kill the Enderman, you get Ender Pearls, and then you throw them to hop between the islands. Sure, but in reality, the islands are way too far apart. So you spend half your time mining endstone to build a bridge to get close enough to throw the Ender Pearl. It's so tedious. And then there's no way to guarantee that you'll find an end ship. I saw a post on Reddit the other day. Dude traveled 5,000 blocks and didn't see a single end city. 5,000 blocks. That's not hard. That's just annoying. There's a huge difference between difficult and annoying. I don't think the end should be annoying.
He wants to add nether chickens that you can eat and a way to respawn and beings you...
A way to respawn doesn't necessarily make it easier.
Should be an easier place to live. He wants to add nether chickens that you can eat.
He means ender chickens. Also, a lot of people misunderstood this as well. Ender chickens was just my silly idea. It's just a stand-in. Like, nothing I said in this video is what I specifically think they're gonna add. What I actually predict they'll add is a passive mob that is a little bit friendlier to the player that can be eaten. I think they will add that. I think that's a pretty solid bet. They might not, but I think there's like a 70+% chance that an end update will include a passive mob that has a food source that is a little bit friendlier to the player. Or even if it's not friendlier to the player, like the hoglins in the nether. The hoglins are super brutal.
They're not bad ideas, but I think a huge part of the end is that it's not livable. When you go on an adventure there, you better hope you bring enough materials to last you the journey and
That's a fair point.
to get out, because if you don't, you're screwed. It's like the Arctic explorers of old. They had to bring what they needed with them because the environments they were going to were next to impossible to live off of. Adding all this livability to the end would totally diminish that. It might still look like an alien wasteland or whatever, but the core part...
Okay, that's fair. So, you know, earlier I was saying, how do you add, like, we have to add something. I guess he wasn't taking issue with the look of it. He likes the way it... You know, he agrees that, like, we could add all this stuff without it looking too full. It was more the other stuff I mentioned, the ender chicken, the, you know, the respawning that he feels makes it too easy, which I can see that. I can see that.
I think that if there is an end update, it should be entirely focused on making it more challenging, more balanced, and keep the idea of a literal wasteland in mind, not just aesthetically. To hammer in some points,
okay, not just
adding an end
aesthetically.
chicken...
Okay, honestly, I missed that on the first watch. He's saying aesthetically, my suggestions still adhere to the wasteland vibe, but the things like a mob or like some of the other mechanics don't, which I guess I see his point there. But I do think like, I do really think you could add a lot of the stuff I mentioned without making it easy. Like if whatever passive mob they add is just super dangerous, like the hoglins in the nether are, then bam, problem solved. You know, there's risk reward there.
Adding an end chicken that gives you magic eggs that can teleport mobs.
So he doesn't like that idea because mob transportation is one of the last hard things in the game. First of all, Happy Ghast. Happy Ghast made it way easier. Already kind of solved that. Second of all, I don't think the thing I suggested would be that helpful for mob transport. I really don't. I think the main use case would be like PvP on multiplayer. Like, you're fighting with someone, they're running away from you, you pull out an ender chicken egg, you throw it at them, bam, they're grappled in, you start wailing on them with your sword. That's a cool mechanic. Can we agree that that's dope? That would be dope. That would be super cool. So, maybe I didn't think enough about the mob transport part of it. I guess it could be kind of useful if you like need to get villagers like in a hole like I was doing in my iron farm today. But I was more thinking about like the player-on-player interactions when I spoke of that feature. I think it would be kind of cool.
So if you're just going to add an egg that teleports them right to you, and to make that egg incredibly...
Yeah, but you still have to you have to hit them with the egg. There's still skill involved. So like, let's say the cow that you want to move is really far away. You have to hit it with the egg. That still takes skill. You have to throw the egg and actually nail the cow.
Same goes for the End Strider. He just wants to make the end easier, as I said. In fact, the entire Mojang staff just wants to make the game... In fact, the entire Mojang staff just wants to make the entire game hold your hand. But whatever. I mean, think about it. The elytra is overpowered as it is. You really want to make it even easier to obtain? He also said that he wants...
I do. I think his perspective on the elytra is insanely single-player pilled. If you've played on a server with more than 20 people on it, then you know getting an elytra is the worst thing in the world. It's awful. It's horrible. Some jerk will go around, fly to every single end city, scoop up the elytras, and then you have to go trillions of blocks out to get a single elytra. It's awful. It's so terrible. I really think he's missing the point here on the elytra thing. It's not hard to get an elytra in single player. It's just annoying. You have no indication of where an end city is. A lot of the end cities don't even have the ship, and you just basically wander around aimlessly until you find one. I think one of the things I said, if they added a glider version of the Strider for the end, like, I think it would have to not let you go up. Like maybe, like it's like an elytra without rockets. Like you can only glide. That's why it's called the glider, right? That way, you can't go up. You can't just skip the end city and go to the top and get the elytra. You still have to fight your way through the end city. I think that's very important. I don't think they should add a way to fly, but they already did add a way to fly up to the end cities and get the elytra. It's called the Happy Ghast. You could just hatch a Happy Ghast and fly up there and get the elytra if you really wanted to.
It's end ships to have multiple elytras via the trial chamber spawner things, which is a little funny to me, but you know, whatever.
Yeah, this is the biggest disagreement I have. He doesn't like the idea to put the vaults from trial chambers in end city ships. It would solve everything on servers, brother. It would solve it. It would solve the issue. We already figured this out. This is the thing I disagree with him absolutely the most in the entire video.
He talks about adding multiple structures. I think the idea of adding a new big dungeon as a challenge to the player is a good idea, I guess, provided you severely nerf the existing end cities. However, I can't help but think that all of this directly contradicts him saying he thinks the end can have all this stuff and still be desolate and barren feeling. All the things he wants to add just make the end feel incredibly lived in and populated. Clearly, I think...
I just disagree. I just disagree. I really do. This just like doesn't feel lived in to me. Like barely. There's one extra mob and one extra tree and then some yellow piss grass. I really think you can add all the things I said and it could still be desolate. I really, really do.
And again, he keeps coming back to making the elytra easier to obtain. He wants to add little structures with maps that lead you to them.
Yeah, this would be awesome. Another thing I super disagree with him on. A map to the end cities would make it so you're not just aimlessly wandering around. That's not hard. That's not fun. No one enjoys just going. Everybody just looks up their seed on chunk base. Literally everybody. If you have the option to do it, you type in chunk base, you go to end city finder, you put your seed in, and then you find the end ship. Everybody does this. Like literally like so many people do that. I don't think these maps are a bad idea at all. I really think they would help.
I don't think this was so much about his predictions for the end update as much as it was what he personally wants.
Yeah, and this is where he just totally missed the point of my video, which I told him that. We discussed it, and he was like, okay, fair. Like I said, my version of the end update would be so whack. No one would want to play it. This was genuinely my prediction. These are genuinely what I think Mojang would be likely to add. That's not specifically, but the types of things that they would be likely to add. What do you think about phantoms in the end? Oh, dude, I would love if they just moved phantoms out of the overworld and put them in the end. God. Oh, God. They look like they belong in the end, especially the original design. That's another hot take I have. Hot take, real quick. I think we got ripped off. I think the way they drew this thing is 1,000 times cooler than how it ended up. This guy, it's so sick looking with the eye on the side of the head and the mouth that opens. And this is what we got? Are you kidding me? They should look kind of like this. They should be black, but with the mouth that opens and the flapping wings, and they should have the eye on the side. They should just do what they drew. The way they drew it looks sick. Why didn't they just make that? We voted for this. And instead we got whatever this thing is. The one we got is much better. I know most people disagree with me on this. This is a hot take. I've said this before, and it seems like people actually like this texture. I hate this texture. What is it? It's gross. I hate it. Why? I hate everything about it. Eyes need to be on the side, mouth open, all black, purple eyes, put it in the end dimension, take it out of the overworld, perfect mob, perfect update, 10 out of 10, cinema. Nah, I like the new one. And that's why this is so fun. It's all, we've all got our different takes. All right, we're almost done with this video. Let's wrap it up.
I think the end should have a useful ore. As I said earlier, useful like iron or redstone is useful, as in that it's a core ingredient for important stuff. But that ore should be practically useless until you exit the end dimension. Mogswamp talks briefly about adding some of the enemy mobs from dungeons, and I think that's a good idea, I think. You could have different types of Endermen that correspond to different types of end biomes. It would just be a way to diversify the existing Endermen.
That one's like a given, honestly. Even if they're not exactly the ones from dungeons, just something similar. Just, like he said, just diversify the existing Endermen. Add a new challenge. That one's guaranteed to happen, in my opinion.
It would be really cool if fighting the dragon required that you've mastered all the other areas of the game. Like, there's a section of the fight that requires the mace, or the trident, or some netherite tool.
Wait, I like that. He's cooking on that. If you needed, like, potions to defeat the Ender Dragon, and an enchantment, and, like, all different aspects of the game, so you had to... That would kill speedrunning? I don't care. Speedrunners already play 1.16, guys. Did you know that? Did you know that speedrunners already play in 1.16? They don't play in 1.21.7 or 10 or whatever we're on. They play in 1.16. Why does anybody care about speedrunners? I mean, speedrunning is awesome and it's very cool. But whenever the game updates and breaks speedrunning, they just don't play in that version. It doesn't matter. All of them play 1.16 anyways. And then, of course, there will be a meta for the new dragon fight, and like a brand new category in speedrunning for 1.21. whatever, 1.22 or whatever it is when they add the end update. But the point is, speedrunners who like the old system would keep playing 1.16 like they are now. And then there would be a whole new category for this new dragon fight. And that would be interesting to watch as well. It would be fun to see how they break the new dragon fight.
Just having that would instantly make the mainline progression and the end dragon fight way more compelling. And
yeah, I love his idea here. That is a really cool idea. If you needed like some skulk and some of this and some of that, and it all ties together in the end dragon fight, that's dope. I really like that.
Again, balancing would be necessary for all these.
Also, side note, I think this is the thing that makes me the most nostalgic about Mong's video.
And the end dragon fight.
Is seeing these old Back
more
before they
compelling.
added
And again,
powered rails, you used to like put a minecart next to your minecart track, and this one like boosts the one you're on. It's like such a classical mechanic, and it filled me with so much nostalgia when I saw that. I was like, oh yeah, I remember those, the minecart boosters. I really enjoy seeing those. That's so classic.
balancing would be necessary for all these areas. Overall, though, it's not up to me. I don't control the game. All I can control is what I play, and I'm going to keep playing alpha. We'll see what happens, and again, this wasn't an attack.
So again, he does say I'm going to keep playing alpha. So that kind of goes back to the like, would there be I guess that would be my question for Mongster. Is there any world, is there any end update that would be good enough to bring him back to modern Minecraft? I'd be super curious to know.
An end update is the one thing that might convince me to play modern again. So I think about this stuff a lot.
Oh, he just said it. Okay, my bad. He said it.
So apologies to Mogswamp if I sounded rude. Let me know what you guys think if you agree.
I think nothing was really rude. I think the only thing that came off as, it was just assuming that my audience is all kids is something that never used to happen to me until my subscriber count got real high. And now people start saying it, and it's like nothing's changed. I still make the same content. It's still very niche. It's still very like technical. I play super flat. Like, I'm not making kids videos. I'm 30, dude. I'm 29 years old. I make videos for me. Honestly, like I said, Mongster and we're chill. I talked to him. He's a super fun guy. I'm down with Mongster, so please no hate to this guy, because I don't care. I loved this video, genuinely.